welcome to this video where I'm going to talk about the 5 scaling principles that I have learned from running my own growth agency for 1,362 days. So I worked with a bunch of different clients from all over Europe, pretty much, primarily Scandinavia, but also a couple of other countries. But right now, we're at a point in my agency where we are 3 people. We have spent more than 8 million euros on paid social advertising and generated our clients more than 40 million euros in revenue. We've worked with a bunch of different e-commerce stores, worked with a bunch of different lead generation businesses. This is where these experiences and principles, they stem from. So the first principle is always be learning new stuff. It is extremely important to always be on top of new trends in any given market or any given field. Marketing is a field that moves extremely fast. It is one of those fields of expertise that are very, very adaptive to new trends. So it's extremely important that you are adapted to new trends as well. So they could also just be fundamentals, such as reading books in your field and whatnot. This is something that has taught me a lot. It has also been a primary reason why I've been able to constantly generate new ideas, is surrounding yourself with new videos, new books, new information has been extremely important for me and the growth that I've seen in my agency. Right now, we're also at a point where we are starting to become a team. We are currently 3 people working full-time in Profita, my growth agency. And here we have really tried to make learning a team culture. It is everybody's responsibility in the team to constantly be learning new stuff, to constantly read, to constantly watch YouTube videos from other people with great knowledge. It's also a team culture to share the learning and the knowledge that the team is possessing and that the team is constantly getting, and explain that to the team so that we're growing as a whole. So as I also said in the beginning, catching new trends can create a lot of forward momentum for your clients, because a trend is something that lasts only for, let's say, a week, 2 weeks, a month maybe. So your job as a growth marketer is always to be on top of these trends so that you can relay them to your customers or your clients, and thereby be able to just generate small wins in small pockets. So this is really principle number 1. And principle number 2 is that speed is absolutely everything when it comes to generating results. You should have a feedback or a implementation loop, you can say, that are that stems from being able to implement aggressively. You really want to have a mindset where you need to do things fast. You need to have urgency when you are operating for your clients or when you're operating for yourself. It is extremely important that you implement some sort of urgency. So our way of doing things have been in this 4-step process here, where we always implement aggressively. We get feedback, we adjust accordingly, and then we launch an improved version. This is the mindset that we are operating in. This is the mindset that we are also trying to relay to our clients when they are operating with us and when they're collaborating with us. Because the faster we can do stuff, the faster we can also beat the competition. So of course, there's going to be time periods where you cannot really implement that much, and you need to go back and reflect upon what you have currently done. But put it this way: when you implement something, start gathering feedback immediately. Find out where the flaws are and how you can improve these things for the next version. Then you want to adjust your current version, and then you want to launch the improved version. The faster you can do this, the faster you can see results. One of the absolute key takeaways from working with a bunch of different clients is that those businesses who work with an urgency, they also generate much better results in the long run. So principle number 3 is that you should always try and think in awareness stages when it comes to scaling through your content. So let's say that you're in a web shop that are selling skincare products. Here, you're probably dealing with a much more sophisticated market. But when you're creating content, you really want to take this sophistication level into consideration, because it could be that many of your customers, they have They've tried countless of different products, but none of it have worked. So you need to present your product in a way that resonates with the market that have tried a lot of different products but never worked for them. So this is where you need to consider your clients or your customers awareness stage in the market. It could also be that you're trying to promote a product that nobody has heard of before, but they know that they have the problem, but they're not solution aware, and they're not product aware, and therefore you need to present your product accordingly to that awareness stage. This is something that has helped us a lot when it comes to create content for our clients, because when you start to think in terms of the awareness stage, you can really tailor your content in a very, very specific way that are going to help your clients promote their products in a much, much better way and profitable way, because it is so much more thought of and thought through when you're creating this in the first place. We see a bunch of clients just go out and create content because they've heard that they need to create content so many times, but it's not the content in and of itself. It is the preparation leading up to the content that matters the most. So this is something that's going to allow you to scale much more than just being able to, use an algorithm like Facebook or Google and whatnot. You need to think in terms of the input that you're giving it and how effective this input is going to be in the long run. Scaling principle number 4 is that short-term metrics are useless. And what I mean by that is, of course, ROAS and POAS. These two metrics are really, they're really, really short-term focused. And it doesn't really tell you anything about how the business performs and how the business is going to perform 3, 6, and 12 months later down the road. So here, with these two metrics, you can really become very, very blinded to the day-to-day operations and not really look in terms of, all right, how can we increase the profitability in our business, or how can we increase the customer lifetime value, because this is currently where we are lacking behind in terms of our other metrics. So this leads me very much into scaling principle number 5, which is PSM, profit scaling margin. This is a metric that reveals much more about your long-term profitability in the business, but also about your sustainable cash flow. And these two things, especially when you're running a web shop, is extremely important to have in mind and also have in consideration. And that's why ROAS and POAS are extremely bad to look at when it comes to scaling your business. This metric take your blended CPA into consideration. So the total amount of orders that your store has generated, divided by the marketing spend that you have. Then it's going to take into consideration your customer lifetime value, your cost of goods sold, and your purchase frequency. So one of the things that we always do when we are onboarding new clients is that we are looking at this right here. Let me just go ahead and create this, make this smaller. So the beginning of the collaboration PSM, and then we take the previous 12 months and we say, all right, the previous 12 months, you have had a blended CPA of 30. You have had a customer lifetime value of $200, and you have a purchase frequency of 1.5, and your cost of goods sold per order is $50. So here, this is going to leave you with a PSM score of 1.67. And this is then the foundation for what we now know we can optimize upon. So the previous 12 months has generated you 67 cents per dollar spent. That's what this tells you right here. $67, 67 cents per dollar spent. So here, now we go in and see, okay, where can we impact the current PSM score the most? So let's say that we're looking at CPA. Are we currently able to bring down the CPA? Yeah, we think that by creating content that are much more tailored in terms of awareness stages, and we're also creating content for the different awareness stages, we believe that we can bring down the CPA from 30 to 25. A 20% decrease in CPA would lead to a 6.25% increase in your PSM score. So just by looking at that, we would be able to increase our dollar return per dollar spent, right? But let's say that we were also able to increase the customer lifetime value, perhaps through increasing our average order value on site. This could be through different upsells. It could be through different cross sells on your website. It could be through your a better customer service experience as well. So let's say that we were able to bring this up to 220. A 9% increase in customer lifetime value would now bring up the PSM score to 1.96. So you'd be able to have a much more profitable business again. Is there something that we could do in order to increase the purchase frequency as well, which is again could stem from a great customer support experience, or it could stem from being able to send out more email newsletters per week and setting up automatic flows. So let's say that the purchase frequency went up by 1 to 1.6, but your customer value also increased because of this, so 240. Your PSM score now changed as well. You have to, of course, factor in your purchase frequency in consideration with your customer lifetime value. So the more times people buy, of course, the better. Then looking at cost of goods sold, this is usually not our field of expertise. This is the clients that we're working with. They know better when it comes to their cost of goods sold per order. But can you do something to decrease the shipping and handling? Can you do something to decrease the cost per container when you're buying products from your suppliers? Perhaps you were able to bring this down to 45. This would again talk into a more profitable business in the long run. So instead of looking at ROAS, you have actually shifted your focus to a PSM score, which is much more revealing about how profitable and how sustainable your business is in the long run. This is something that we encourage all of our webshop clients to really look into, because it is much more future oriented. It's much more long term focused than the average ROAS and the POAS metric that doesn't really say anything about how your business can improve and also the impact of the improvements. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you could or that you learned something new in this video. I highly recommend you to start implementing at least a PSM score into your business if you're running an e-commerce store.